Impact of economic and military considerations for foreign policy. Economic considerations. Britain and France heavily opposed war, and if there was war, it would be worse due to the technological advancements made. Britain and France couldn't afford war and losing trade links. Britain and France were putting their national interests over the leagues. Responding to Hitler's actions would have economic and political consequences. Military considerations. Um, Britain and France mainly used self-defense during the 1930s. France developed the Maginot Line along its borders to protect themselves from Germany. Britain followed the 10-year rule before 1932 to not be involved in any major war, but it was abandoned due to the Great Depression, so their priority was defense. Britain and France also wanted to avoid all confrontation, and they did so in Manchuria, Abyssinia, and Spain. Changing nature of relations with the USSR and impact on foreign policy. People believe that Hitler didn't want war and only wanted to stop communism. Britain and France restored diplomatic relations with the USSR, but they stayed suspicious. The USSR was having relationships with Germany, and a possible plan to invade Eastern Europe threatened France. USSR weren't interested in links with France and Britain. Because of Germany and Japan, the USSR, Britain, and France had similar issues. They decided to ally with each other and with the Treaty of Mutual Assistance with France, but Britain still didn't have trust. The USA felt threatened by Japan's actions, so they recognized Soviet control of Russia. France wanted the USSR as members of the League, and they ended up becoming a permanent member. Britain, France, and the USSR were only allied due to interest, but they were still against communism. And the USSR was still critical of the League of Nations. Actions taken to appease Hitler. Due to appeasement, Germany destroyed the Treaty of Versailles, and Hitler restored the country's power. Hitler weakened Britain and France's relations due to their opposing views on Germany. Britain believed that Germany was being treated too harshly while France wanted to keep them weak. Um, Britain were trying to justify German actions until 1939. Attitudes towards rearmament. The Strasser Front was meant to oppose Hitler's rearmament plans. Britain signed a bilateral agreement with Germany, however, lim- limiting their naval power. This allowed Germany and Britain to improve relations, but it went against the Strasser Front. Uh, France and Italy were against however, against Britain's choices. Attitudes towards the Rhineland. Hitler decided that militarizing the Rhineland was the best choice to go against the Treaty of Versailles. The signing of the Franco-Soviet Treaty threatened Germany, so Hitler argued that the Rhineland will protect its borders. Hitler faced no opposition at the Rhineland, and France were heavily critical against their actions, while Britain didn't see a problem. The remilitarization destroyed the Locarno and the Treaty of Versailles. Attitude toward the Anschluss. No one could oppose the Anschluss because they were too weak and France were not prepared to take action, while Britain strongly followed appeasement. The Anschluss didn't threaten Britain, and the Austrian people supported it. Czechoslovakia and the Munich crisis, because Germany and the other countries couldn't make an agreement. Czechoslovakia were defenseless, and war was increasingly likely. The Munich Conference was meant to prevent war. People believed war was avoided because of Britain and France's appeasement. Czechoslovakia was severely weakened and open to invade, and the USSR was angry because they weren't invited to the conference and wanted to to sa- to stop relationships. To to seek relationships with Hitler. This to them seemed Britain and France as unreliable. Appeasement allowed countries to be allowed countries to be aggressive and were able to do anything without conflict.